So we're officially live now. So, hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the lovely Jonathan. He's going to be speaking to me about Streem Connect, and what we've got for you today is a full demonstration of what this software can do, and it's going to be very useful to you if you're a bookkeeper or an accountant, if you've got clients, that sort of thing. So it's good to help reduce the admin time spent, particularly around the bank. So I'm not going to talk anymore, and I'm going to let Jonathan tell you all about it. So I'm going to hand the reins over. So thank you for joining me, Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Rebecca. That's great, yeah. Welcome everybody to the show. Obviously, I'm going to share my screen and run through Streem Connect today and show you how this can help you going forward with bank statements.
Brill. So let's have a look.
This is obviously in the software. So this is just basic stuff. You've got the likes of your dashboard and things like that. So what Streem Connect does is, instead of, you've obviously got the likes of Xero, Sage, QuickBooks, and all your clients' bookkeeping software, where you can have live bank feeds. But obviously, as accountants know, the bank feeds sometimes are going wrong, or they're bringing in wrong dates, or they're missing transactions, or they're duplicating transactions. So what Streem does is work in conjunction with your bookkeeping software. So clients actually don't have to log in to a software to be able to give you their bank statements. Everything's done open banking. Everything's done through mobile banking, or you can obviously do it online. So the difference with that is, if we use an SMS link, which we can do within the software, it takes them to the mobile banking app, and they just Face ID, share away, and then obviously it takes around under a minute, and then we've got their link. If they use an email and they're on a computer, what that actually does is it takes them to the Barclays website, or the Halifax website, or the Lloyd's website, and they just log in like normal through the internet browser. And again, it's the same sort of scenario where they just choose which bank account to link, and then we've got the data within less than a minute. All right. So once that links, what actually happens is we've got 2 years backdated data within Streem. Some banks do more. Yeah, some banks do more. Credit cards do a little bit less, and credit cards vary from bank to bank, to be honest. It's not like a fixed amount. But a lot of people, I mean, we were accountants, we've got an accountancy business. The pain that we had was trying to get bank statements off clients, or they might, go down the branch and they bring the statements in and there's a month missing, or they might bring it in and they've wrote on it so you can't scan it in your OCR software. So these are by Rebecca sort of knows about these typical pains that you can have with an accountancy. So what we've done is we developed this to solve our pain. So what actually happens is you're getting the data in an Excel format or PDF format if you prefer that way, but you're getting in an Excel format that you can import into your bookkeeping software. Or if you like to do manual Excel work, you've already got it all analysed in Excel, and then you can manipulate the data from there. All right.
Perfect.
Standard stuff. You've got your dashboard. So the approaching 90 days box here, all that means is after 90 days, you can actually automate the process of clients getting requested to do a relink. So they actually get automated emails and automated texts, so you don't actually have to chase that. I mean, we always say on the first go, give them a call, explain the software. There's a couple of little things where you can't be in private browsing because you can't pick up the cookies, or if it's an Android, you can't be in incognito mode and things like that. But once you've done that first time, you normally see the relinking process quite easy because everything's already selected for you. So that's what that means. It means who's approaching 90 days, and it gives you a list of them so you can actually go in and manually create links and things like that. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Next, you've got your loan funds. This is just threshold. So what actually happens is you can set a threshold for a client on a bank, and you might say, I don't want this client to go below £10,000 in the bank. If they go below, it flags red, the client flags red. Obviously, they come up in this low funds, but also the accountant gets an email to say, the client's gone below the threshold. Do you need to do some forecasting for them possibly? Do they need some type of finance to help them out? So it's just creating conversations with the clients, basically. And then the next one's fully integrated. So this just shows you how many clients are integrated and what percentage of your clients you have integrated into Streem. So that's the dashboard. Everything else is typical standard software. You've got your account management, adding stuff in, setting basic permission levels for them staff on what they can do, basic manager, admin, things like that, setting up your two-factor authentication. Obviously the billing manager gets the subscription management, so they can choose obviously whether he likes to carry on with the software. You've got your profile here, so obviously on these two here, they're quite important because they show on the emails or the SMSs, because obviously everything's branded from obviously the accountant. The next thing, there's the client table. All right, so obviously on here, you can obviously do your standard filtering. So you can do, search for clients. You can see who's linked, who's expiring. So this is anybody who's coming up. Pending is where they've expired, but you've got a link sent out already.
Yeah.
And any that you've never linked, unlinked people. All right. Obviously your low balance. If you set the thresholds, you can get a list of them. You can come in your view accounts. If I just go on to Barclays, we've set a threshold for 5,000. Obviously it's under that, so they flag red straight away. All right. You can obviously batch import all your clients through this import clients section here, or you can just add a client manually, go through the sections, add in your manual fields in there, but also you can set which staff members you want this client to have access.
And do you, with that import clients, is that does that have an API link to like Xero and QuickBooks and other things?
It doesn't at the moment, no. So the import clients, what we'd probably ask is just get an export from your CRM or your practice management.
Yeah, which is easy to do.
Yeah, under a template, under an Excel template. Obviously, the manual fields aren't obviously there's not many. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 in there. You can import, if it's big accountancy firms, you can set partners and managers on them, and they get notifications as well for them clients. You can add tags, so a good one if you do weekly bookkeeping or something, you can add weekly bookkeeping as a tag, and you can filter down on them tags as well. So there's all that sort of stuff. The last one is, which usually works quite well for sole traders, you can actually disable the 90-day reminder. Obviously, this might change in future with MTD, but at the moment you can disable that so they don't get them reminders automatically, and you can dictate when you want them to get them reminders as well.
Okay.
So that's that. Obviously, we'll go into a client. So in a client here, obviously you've got the bank account shown. So what you can do is, once the client has linked it up, you can literally, it takes about, I would say around 5 minutes, and then all the data for 2 years should be backdated in. So if we go and click on view an account here, view the transactions, you've got all that. You can then do your date range, show as many entries as you want. You can search for, say, taxes, just to make sure that people are paying the taxes on time. There's a bit of a search functionality. The status here just shows you actually, because some banks send different data. So this is the problem I think sometimes Xero has, where some people send pending transactions, and then other banks send just cleared transactions. So we've put the status on there just to tell you these are pending transactions, so they shouldn't be imported into your software.
So that's useful in itself, and also I don't know about you, but if you actually try and filter on the banking and like Xero, it's actually quite slow sometimes, and you don't always have the amount of data that I would want on there. So I'd want additional fields on there to tell me, as you say, the dates, the amounts, etc., all very clearly, and it's sometimes just a bit sluggish, is what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, what we found was just like some clients, in the construction, we had a lot of construction clients, they out all day at work, they don't want to be logging into a software to try and renew the bank feeds. They just want to be getting the text on the app, and then they can just go ahead and link it. So, I mean, it just makes it so much easier for them, rather than actually having to, get home, open a laptop, try and get them to link or log in. It's just, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. So that was a thing that we had constantly.
And you've got the added option sometimes as well with some of the softwares, not just Xero, there's other ones also, where it's very difficult to link a bank account sometimes. And I don't know if that's just because of the way that particular app's set up, but I know, for instance, HSBC Kinetic, which is a mobile bank. that if your client is not tech savvy and they don't understand, you can go into a desktop mode when you're opening the Xero sort of, software on your mobile. They find it very difficult to get that linked, and you can go back and forth and waste a lot of time trying to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously when Kinetic first come out, we had a little problem with that ourselves, but we obviously managed to fix it, and now it's all within the phone app, so they can obviously just link with the app straight away. So it just made things so much easier going forward.
That's epic.
Yeah. So obviously you've got your download function where you can just choose your dates. You can have a standard for manual work, but then you've got obviously your bookkeeping softwares in there, where if you just click on Xero, download it, you can just import that straight into Xero, and then that's your way basically. And then this lasts for 90 days, so you've obviously got 90 days there where you can keep on coming in. It's just obviously you charge per month for each bank link that you use, and there's no restrictions on how many times you can come and view the data and things like that.
That's good.
I mean, the only one that does have a bit of restriction is just the verification report. So what we do is we give clients one download every 90 days per client for this. So if they obviously come in and they obviously choose your bank, what you can do is, so this is basically like a verification tool. So you can either use it to attach it to your work papers at year end, or you can use it for like AML process at the start for like source of funds to make sure the clients obviously got what they've said they have, or you might use it as like a confirmation that they have this bank account as part of your AML process and things. So if you obviously I downloaded one earlier from the 1st of August 22. So if you pop that into there, press create report, this will create this, and again you can come and view this as many times as you want once you've done it. So if I pop that PDF open, and there it is there. So this will give you verification of balances, and then obviously further down it'll give you all the transactions as well. What we quite like about this as well is it separates the pending transactions out into a separate section, so it'll actually give you them in a completely separate section and things like that, just to make sure.
Which helps.
That double counting as well. Yeah, exactly.
If you have junior members of staff and you're trying to teach them for the first time how to do a bank reconciliation, and you just throw a bank statement at them and say, reconcile this back to the cash book, etc., and they're looking and they can't, you've got to spend the time to show them, well, you've got to take into consideration pending transactions, they're going to be your rec items, etc. So if you have a bank account where, like, this is a very small bank account, but if you have one where there are 500 transactions going through a day, all of a sudden that's a mammoth task. So if you've got them listed as pending, instantly win-win for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's better than when you used to print the paper statements off and tick them off and things like that. So yeah, I think cloud accountants changed all of that type of thing. But I mean, what you were saying there is reconciling your bank and things like that. So what we actually did was we built a tool called the Reconciler. So
I love this.
What this does is it compares your client's bookkeeping software data against Stream data, and it'll flag up any transactions that don't match. Okay, so as an example, if a client goes in and posts a manual transaction that they shouldn't do in the bank, this tool picks it up and it gives you a list of them transactions and says this needs it deleting, or if it's missing, it'll tell you, right, go and import this transaction, and your bank will match to Stream.
So if, for example, let's just say that, as we know, the bank feeds sometimes are not 100% correct in certain softwares, of which I had an issue just yesterday. But if, for instance, something has been duplicated in the bank statement, that would show up here to show, well, this has been entered twice, or, this is a rec item.
Yeah, exactly. We built the tool as well, because Xero at the minute, they're bringing things in as the wrong date. It's normally a day out.
Yeah.
So we built into the tool now to let you know if it's a date issue. So you can actually sort of say, right, because we had one where we were doing a year end, and what actually happened was the transactions were in Xero, but obviously the actual transactions were a day after, so they shouldn't have been now year end and things like that. So we've added that into the tool now, so people can obviously see that and match it off. So if I just go through like an example of that, I've got a file already within here. So this is what I've downloaded from Xero. So obviously in there you can just come into your bank account in Xero, do your reconciliation report, choose your bank statement, and then just choose your date. So I've done the 1st of August 22 to up to date, come down, export it to Excel. Then all you need to do is just quickly map it into Stream. So everything that you've got, if you've got a little eye, it's got like a little bit of an information box that pops up for you. So this is saying we need the first row that has the opening balance. So if I obviously go into this download, the first row is row number 8 as an example. So we go 8. Now I obviously know these off by heart now, but if the date column's in column A, description's in D, the amount's in G, and the balance is in H. So if I just quickly show you that, A, D, G, H. All right. Then you've got this date accuracy. So when I was on about the dates being out,
yeah,
you're happy to say, right, I'm happy with one day being out. You can actually set that, and it won't bring them up in the report because it's going to match them off, even if there's a date difference.
Yeah.
But for this one, I'll just put 0 for now, just to show you how this works. So when you start the reconciliation, just need to choose bank statement there. Start the reconciliation. So this one's a perfect example of that opening balance thing that I was mentioning before. So it tells you what the opening balance is in Stream compared to what your opening balance is in Xero in this case. And if there's a difference, it tells you the closing balances, and is there a difference? So here, your closing balance is fine, but your opening balance isn't. And then obviously we've got total Stream transactions to check, total Xero transactions to check, and then what the difference is. So your difference is actually matching perfectly with your opening balance. So the transactions that are making this out are in our period on Stream. All right. So if I actually export this, it does give you a brief summary here as well, but we always find that if you export it to Excel, this gives you a nice little report which you can upload to your work papers if you wanted to, where it's obviously got that summary in there. It's got the Stream to check. So this is basically transactions in Stream that haven't been found in Xero. So as an example, these are Xero transaction 7063. The date's the 26th. However, Xero is bringing that in as the 25th. So all these transactions are a day out, and that's why it's flagging it's a potential date issue.
Ah.
Now, if we go to the bottom of this one, it's got 2 missing transactions. So what this means is these transactions are on Stream as the right date, but Xero, it's not shown. Now, this might just be because of a date issue again, but we're running the report from the 1st of August. So what this is saying is Xero has actually brought these transactions in on the 31st of July, so your closing balance is incorrect at them dates. And that's why if you add them up, 203880, your difference is your 203880. So if you just change them transaction dates, everything will match perfectly.
Very straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah, we like this tool. It's took a little bit of building, but it's definitely got where we want it to be now.
And I love it. I didn't even know you could do that in here. So yeah, I'm just thinking of. I keep saying this on the channel, but I have horror stories that I could share, particularly around bank recs, because it's again, if you've got junior members of staff, you put the time in to train them, etc. But you know, things change. You've got to take things on a client by client basis, and there's things in there that they've never seen before, etc. And it's all time. If you're trying to manage business, it's all time. So
Yes.
building this into your kind of your controls almost at month end is just give you a hug virtually right now when I'm thinking about the time saving.
Yeah, so I mean that one. I mean people love that one, to be honest. We say because the difference with us and Xero is we do a live call from the bank. So every time you press view or download, that's a live call. So we're not storing any data, and that's where I think the errors occur.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're pulling that from the bank live every time you press view. So that's why our data is more accurate. Now I know there's obviously times, where a bank might change the way they do things and not let us know. So on them occasions, we can obviously faults can occur, but hopefully we try and rectify them, as quickly as possible, really.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the last one's spending. So basically, this one is just a quick report. We are going to enhance this at the moment. So this is more for the manual stuff where I was talking about before, where if you do like Excel analysis and things, so you can export it. It's doing it into categories, what we're given us by the bank. So the bank actually give us these categories. But we're going to enhance this where this will be by supplier. So it'll actually do a column by supplier. So if you know, in construction and you go to Juicens all the time, Juicens will be a column.
Juicens.
So on, so you can just recode them in your accountancy software to where it needs to go. And we are going to bring out the capability of you choosing what category you want that to go to for MTD. So then you can just import that into the likes of, you know, TaxCalc or Iris or whatever MTD filer you're going to use going forward.
That's brilliant. Okay. Because again, even in the systems, if you are trying to run a report on a certain, you know, on a supplier and a nominal, again, sometimes that's quite fiddly in the software to get that data off. And from, again, my point of view, something may have been posted to the wrong place repeatedly for that supplier, and on first glance it looks right, but it's not right. So getting that data off quickly is great, and also gives you a conversation to talk to the client about, well, did you know you're actually spending X here and more here, and they might not be aware until you give them them.
It's just obviously, you know, some people might think that they haven't got these costs, but when you actually run through them and try and run through with them, this report, you could just get in Excel, filter it by supplier, and then you can just send them that report and say, this is what you spent with this, you know, buyer, really, where, you know, you're spending that per year, which is quite a bit for what it needs to be. And it's just interacting the conversations with the client again to try and, you know, keep that relationship a constant flow rather than just a year-end thing. You can obviously integrate it, you know, quarterly or 6 monthly or monthly or even weekly if you wanted to.
Incorporate it into your management accounts with that conversation, you know, adding a little bit more analysis behind the costs, because again, even with some of the management accounts reporting software, there isn't a great amount of detail you sometimes give around costs. It's more, you know, the debtors, creditors, like bank flow sort of movements. But sometimes clients do want to know, well, and you can save them money too. If you can see where they're spending the most money, you can give recommendations to say, did you know, again, you're spending this much, but, you know, you might be able to get a discount with such a person, or bulk discounts and things like that. So
just creating value for the client, for your services as well as so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we have got a couple of features coming out, so we are going to be bringing out work papers, like a work paper product, an automated one, where obviously it'll have a process in there of using the reconciler, using the asset report, and things like that. So we are going to bring that out. That's probably going to be mid next year. We are hoping to have like a lender directory for finance available just in the turn of the new year, where obviously if these thresholds keep on going red, or this spending's getting out of control and you need a bit of help with finance for the time being, you know, you're going to be able to source that through the software, and obviously, you know, receive you know, remuneration for doing that as well.
Yeah, that's great. With all of this tech November, I'm having to rethink my current process, because there's just so much more that I can be doing, but more from a point of, you know, it's going to end up being a massive time saver for me with everything connected and all the controls in place. But I don't know about you, but because I'm very black and white in terms of the way I like things to be done. So I like things to be really simple, really clear. Like, this is what I'm using for this. This is what you use for that. And everything kind of just all, you know, singing the same hymn sort of thing.
Process.
Yeah, that's it. I'm very process driven. And yeah, I love this. I'm just thinking in terms of a couple of questions for you. And don't worry if you can't answer straight away, but I was just thinking, if you're the bookkeeper and you're using this right now, do you have an option to add an accountant as a user, or would you provide them with simply the downloads, for instance, or is that something you're looking to add at a later point?
Yeah, so you can obviously you can add anybody in as a user. So if I go to the manage users section, you can add anybody in here, and you can obviously give them, rules and things like that. And then obviously what you can do is in that staff member, you can choose what clients you give them access to. So if you're a bookkeeper and you've got an accountant who comes in and does 5 clients,
You can give
select
them.
that accountant for them clients, and then if you've got a different one, you can keep on selecting, or you can just give them the reports because everything is downloadable, into a report, which you can send over to them and say this is what I've done, and that's what we're hoping to achieve with the work papers later down the line.
Yeah.
Is standardising that process, make it as automated as possible, so bookkeepers can actually complete these work papers and send them to the accountant, and then the bookkeepers create more value because the accountant might be able to charge less of a fee because most of the work's actually already being done by the bookkeeper.
And not just that, if you are the bookkeeper and you're being asked questions by the accountant, I've been on both ends, and particularly with auditors, but it reduces the time that you're spending because you might do all of the work as a bookkeeper, like the day-to-day, etc. You might even produce the working papers and have everything up to a T, and this is a perfect set of working papers, send it over to the accountant. The accountant's still going to have questions, but if you've got things in a very clear format and they've got all the bank recs and they've got everything that they need, it reduces the number of questions they're asking you after you've got to the point where you think everything's there. So it's a time saver for you, just not directly. Towards the year end it will be.
Exactly, you can see your back when you get more spare time. You can either choose to live more of a personal life or take more clients on and build it bigger, basically.
That's it. Another question for you: what made you decide then? How was Streem Connect born? All of this? How did it come about? Because you are obviously accountants working in accountancy, and there's a need for this. I can see it. But what was the kind of just how did it all come about?
Yeah, I mean, basically because we had a lot of construction clients and different various clients getting bank statements. Obviously, you had like Dext for the receipts where they can take photos. That's what we use mainly. You can get them doing invoicing on Xero, or if they do their own invoicing, they can send that to Dext through the sales function. But bank statements were just like a thing where it was so hard to get that information off. They were either bringing them in manually and you're scanning them all and then you're uploading them to OCR. And then obviously if you've crossed one thing off, that statement just doesn't work at all, or things like that. So we were just finding that the time that was being spent on that was just, far too much. And if you can automate the sales and the purchases, surely you can automate the bank statement side. And the bank feeds are great. I mean, we always say we work in conjunction with all these bookkeeping softwares. We'll never try and replace them because, it's absolutely pointless. The likes of Xero and things, they're all great softwares. But I think obviously there was just a niche and a need for something to happen on the bank side. And that's where we just sort of thought, right, we need to try and do something about it. We were quite tech savvy anyway. So, we just wanted to try and get it and take it forward, and that's where it came from. Really, we just sort of pushed it from there. We did a bit of research into open banking and how things can work. Found a great provider for it, and just developed it out from there. Really,
I really like apps where the people who are involved in creating the app and the thought process behind it have had the struggles. You've done your time. You don't want to be there again, and you build something off the back of this is a solution to a problem that we're all facing. And the app inside out. The kind of the structure and the process of how it is now versus where it can be. So yeah, I love that.
I think the great thing is that if we obviously have a pain, we'll try and solve it, but then we can test it within our firm for a good few months to see if it works. The work paper product was like a really one that we wanted to get sorted because we have our own, we've done our own work around on work papers, but we'd love like an automated solution. I know you can never fully automate work papers, but to being able to test that within our firm, we've seen niggles along the way, so then we can say, right, we're going to have to put more work into this section on work paper and make sure that it works perfectly and things. So yeah, it works nicely in conjunction.
No, That's great. Well, if anyone ever has any suggestions, are we able to contact yourselves to say, oh, have you thought about this? This would be great.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, we love obviously feature requests and things because obviously we're just one accountancy firm trying to solve our problems, but we'd love to know the rest of them. I mean, if everybody could just, if they do have an idea, pop it in the chat on the website and raise a ticket, so then we've got that logged, and then we can sort of try and prioritise them features.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like I say, feedback's essential. Really, that's what we want from everybody: feedback on the product, so we know how we can make it better, basically.
And have we seen everything on the feature? Well, we've summarised it. We've glossed over it really.
Yeah.
But I will say, we'll touch on this a little bit later. But if people do have questions or want to get in contact with Jonathan and the team, etc., then you can do. And I've got links in the description box for you to follow to get in contact after this video anyway. For more features, etc. But yeah, is there anything else on there that you wanted to show us quickly?
I think I went through everything really. Obviously, the new features are coming in. I know it was a bit of a quick whistle stop through the product, but obviously, like you say, if anyone has questions or anything like that, obviously my email will be there. There's the chat function on the website where you can get in touch straight away, and hopefully, obviously, everyone's enjoyed it, and we can obviously bring some new features out to everybody to keep on building it where we want it to be, basically.
There's also let me just get my comment section up. Jonathan and the team have kindly added a link to a discount code today, so that's in the description. So if you just click on more, there's a drop down there, and you can find that there. And let's say you have a discount code there to use, and a link to the website too, so you shouldn't have any issues trying to find it. But yeah, if you do have questions after this, I'll just read out Jonathan's email, which is jonathan@streemconnect.com. And as Jonathan says, you can go onto the website and pop comments in the live chat too there. So plenty of different ways to get a hold of you there. If anyone's got any questions, but I'm going to be in touch because, as I say, I need to just revamp this whole software stack that I've got going on at the moment. I've got visions of this, of where you could use it, even as a small business and a large business. It's going to give you ultimately time savings along the way. It's a massive plus from my end to you. Yeah, is there anything else that you want to add, Jonathan, just before we end?
Yeah, no, obviously, just around the link, obviously, if you can use that link, then we can track the people that come from the video. You don't need the code because you sign up for a free trial, but once you go premium, then you enter the code in there, and then that will obviously log yourselves from the video and then give you the discount going forward as well.
Oh, perfect. Okay, well then, we will end the live chat there. But thank you so much for joining us today. And as I say, all the ways that you can contact Jonathan are in the description box, and I'll pop some in the comments too, just to make sure that nobody misses anything. But yeah, thank you again for joining us, Jonathan, and we'll be in touch soon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Take care. I will end this now. All right.